I'm back with a new tutorial which all you are waiting for. In this video, I will share you my Transformers animation process. You already knew that I have done this type of video in past as well. Please check it out there first because this video is very much connected to it. In that last video, I only discussed you a brief explanation of the process, but in this video, I will be focusing on the most important aspect of this process, which is the animation. So in this video, I don't waste your time explaining how the models are created. We will be focusing on the Transformers animation itself. Let's take a look on the models. As you can see, this is the car model, the Mercedes one. It has all the detailings. The modeling of this car has been done, and I also have done the materials. Now I will show you the robot model. So this is the model. I have divided this model into 3 collections, as you can see. This first collection is the Mercedes car parts. So it has all the Mercedes parts. As you can see, the logo, the doors, the headlights, and also it has the surface duties, which I had modeled only for this robot. And then there is a second collection, which is the inner robot. In this collection, all the heavy-duty modeling is there. And then there is a last collection which has the wheels. I had put these wheels into a collection because it will be helpful later in their animation process. So now we are going to start there again. But before doing that, we have to pick some key objects from this model on which we will parent the rest of the objects. So what I mean to say is, you can see there are many parts out there, right? So we will not create a separate boon for each of them. Instead, I will choose a key object and parent all objects around it. Like here, as you can see, these all parts, this front part, those head legs, this lower, these all are chest parts. So basically, I will pick a single object from this chest part and I will parent the whole chest parts on that. Like here's another example. Like this part, the arm part. These all parts have to be on a single bone. So I will choose a part like this part and I will parent the other parts of the arm on this. When they are parented, they move like this. So let's start choosing the key objects. Let's start with the head. I think this part looks fine for the key object. Let's put it in a new collection. I will name this collection to key objects. So for this chest part, I have to pick a single object. So let's find it. Okay, this part looks interesting. Select it and send it to the new collection, key objects. Now similarly, I will select these arm parts and also send them to the new collection. So here, as you can see, this is our new collection looks like. Let's also rename these key objects. Select this part and call it arm A. And this part, select the arm R. L stands for left, R stands for right. I'm also going to move these cylinders as well. These will be for my shoulder bones. Let's name them shoulder A and this shoulder R. Now I will select the pelvis area. For the pelvis, I will select this object. Let's name this to pelvis. Let's continue doing it for the other parts. For the upper legs, I will select this object, also from the right. And now name them lead upper A, and lead upper R. So this is the N side and this is the R side. Now I am selecting the lower leg part. Let's select this object and also this and move them to the new collection as well. And rename them as well. For the feet, I will choose this object, move this to the layer as well, and rename them as well. I will choose this object. For the lower half of the arms, there are too many objects. So what I will do is either join these 3 objects and then that would be a key object. So let's select this bust and this and then join. Come to reach here for joining the mesh. Let's select this also. Come to reach here for join. And also do the same thing for the right arm. So this part and this part will also have to go to the same layer. Because arms also have 2 parts. So I will rename this upper part arm upper A and arm upper R. So this will be the arm lower A and this will be the arm lower R. For the hands, I will not select any key objects. This whole hand is our key object. So I will select this whole hand with all the fingers and send them to the same layer. So this is the key objects, as you can see. Let me just turn off the annotations. There you go. There is one last object is remaining, which is the eyes. So for the eyes, I'm selecting these outer surface and send them also to the new collection and rename them as well. So now our key objects are done. Now it's time to do the parenting. Let's start first with the head. Select all the head parts. What I'm doing is I'm selecting a part and then hit edge to hide it and then select another part and then hit edge to hide it also. And then I hide all the objects. Then what I'm going to do is hit alt edge. Then all the hidden parts have been shown and they also have been selected for me. Now what I'm going to do is I will create a new collection called head and move all the head parts into it. So this is the head part. And now I will enable the key objects. Our head objects are already selected. Now select the key head object and now hit Ctrl P and then parent to object. So now as you can see, when I'm moving the head key object, the whole head is moving. We have to do the same thing for the other parts also. Now it is time for the eyes. Selecting those, make a new collection, give a name and send it to it. And same thing which we had done earlier. Selecting the eye objects and then the key object and then parent it to it. Same goes to the other eye. So now as you can see, when I am rotating the key object, the whole eye is rotating. Eyes are also done. Let's move to the other parts. I'm selecting all these chest parts with the same technique which I had explained you earlier, the hide and unhide technique. I have selected the doors also because doors also have to be parent on the dorsal part. All the parts are hidden now. Now hit Alt H to unhide and move them to a separate collection. Let's name it Torso. Let me know you that these different collection which I am making is only for the demonstration purpose so that you can understand what I am doing. So let's disable all the collections and enable the torso and then the key object. So now let's parent the whole torso objects to the just key object. Now I'm selecting the upper arms. Also made a new collection called upper arms. And then the same thing. Parent them to their respective key objects. So select these left part objects and then select our key object, which is this, and then parent it. And also don't forget the other parts, which are in other collections. No, not this one. So I will parent this also to the key object. So now, as you can see, the whole arm is moving. Now I will do the same thing for the other side as well. Select all the upper arm parts and then the key object and then parent it. Now I will fast forwarding the process because I am doing the same thing. I am just doing the parenting for the remaining parts. Here I selected the pelvis objects and I parented that also to the pelvis key object. For these hands, let's put it out from the key objects and move them to its own new layer called hands. Just quickly parenting the legs also. The upper parts to the upper key object. And the lower parts to the lower key object. And finally the feet. Feet will also be parenting to the feet key object. Let's parent these wheels. These top wheels will be parented to the shoulder objects. And these bottom wheels will parent to the lower leg objects. So the parenting is done now. So now every part is moving with respect to its key object. So now it's time to add the armature. For this rig, I will use Meta Human Rig, which comes with the software. So here it is. Let's center position it by hitting Shift S, cursor to the world position, and then Shift S again, and then selection to cursor. There's you can see it has been centered. So now what we are going to do is match this skeleton to our Transformers model. So let's first scale it. Now tap into the edit mode and now adjust the bones to its correct positions. Firstly, I'm roughly putting the bones. If you want your editing to be mirrored, enable this option. Check this X if mirror. This will mirror your editing to the other side also. So now I can easily place the joints, and also I'm enabling this option so our bones always be shown on top of the object. So now I will place each bone accordingly. I'm just roughly placing the joints. As you can see, I'm placing the head bones. So now it's time to be precise. The thing is, when we are rigging a character, which is human or maybe animal, the joints has to be like the bone structure, as you can see here. It is not that important to be accurate, but when it's come to the machine parts, especially the joints, it has to be accurate as possible, because on that axis, the whole machine arm or object has to be revolve around, has to be move around, has to be rotate around. So here is an example. As you can see, this arm is rotating on the axis of this cylinder. This cylinder is the joint. So our bone joints has to be accurate. So back to our model. Here you can see the gear, which is supposed to be the knee of his leg. So the joint has to be in there. Let's put it down. But for accuracy, I'm selecting this object and then swallow it. And now tap into the edit mill and select all the points and hit Shift S, cursor to selected. And now as you can see, the 3D cursor is perfectly in the center of the object. So now what we have to do is select our armature and then edit mode and select this joint and then hit Shift S and then selection to cursor. And now as you can see, the joint is perfectly in the center of the object. This same thing has to be done on the other joints as well, such as this joint and also this joint, because there is a sphere over here. And there is also a rotating mechanism here. And the most important parts are the fingers. The finger joints has to be in these cylinders. Select these sticked faces and place the 3D cursor on the selection. And then select our bones. Let's move them here. Select this top joint and then selection to cursor. So now as you can see, the joint is perfectly snapped to the surface. Now I'm going to do this. Snap the joint into this cylinder. So select the cylinder. Select these two vertices and then cursor to selected. As you can see here, the 3D cursor is centered in this cylinder. So now select the joint and then selection to cursor. In the same way, I will snap all the joints in the fingers. As you can see, all the joints for the thumb has been placed. So with the same technique, we have to do all of his other fingers as well as his other body parts also. As you can see here, I have finished placing the joints to his fingers and other parts of the body as well. As you can see here, all the joints are being placed in the right positions. Here you can see this joint is being placed in the center of this sphere, and this arm bone has been placed in the center of this sphere. As you can see, this joint also, it is also centered in this sphere. Let's delete this fourth finger because we don't need it. Now what I will do it, I will delete all the unnecessary bones, which I don't need. Such as these facial bones. Let's delete it. Also the ears. I have left the eye bones because later I will need it. Let's move this rig to a new collection and call it M rig, and for meta. So let's solo the eyes. Select this outer sphere, which is the eye key object. In the edit mode, place the 3D cursor to the selection. So that 3D cursor is centered to the eye. And now select the eye boom and selection to cursor. Now our armature is fully ready to be bind to the mesh. So in order to bind, first let's generate the IK rig. So come to the properties, and from here you can save this button, generate rig. It will take a bit and generate a rig. So this is our generative rig. You can now go to the pose mode. Now you can see here, our rig is perfectly working. All the controllers and the IK joints are working perfectly. The only thing which is left is bind this armature to the robot model. So now what I'm gonna do is, you had remembered that we have made some key objects. So what I will do here is, I will parent those key objects with the appropriate bones of this armature. So now hide all the collections and only enable the key objects and the armature. Now it's time to parent the key objects to the bones. Let's start the chest. First select the chest key object and then the bone. Remember, in order to select the bone, you have to be in the pose mode. And now hit Ctrl P and then bone. Now as you can see, when I'm moving the torso bone, the chest object is moving. Same goes to the other things also. And selecting this shoulder part and then the shoulder bone and then Ctrl P and then bone. Do this for the other side also. For the upper arms, I will select this bone. As you can see, here is the name of this bone. So select the object first and then the bone and then Ctrl P and then bone. Same goes to the other side also. Now I will select the lower arm and this bone and then Ctrl P bone. Let's go to the other side and do the same. Always check that you have selected the right one. Now selecting the hand, select all of these objects and then parent to this bone. It's hand IKL. Now as you can see, it is rotating on the right axis. Mouth stance of the fingers. In our hand rig, there are separate bones representing each fingers. As you can see here, these are for the thumbs and these are for the fingers. We will bind each object on these bones. So I will select this tip part and select this one and then parent it. Do this for the other joints of the tongue also. As you can see, tongue is working perfectly fine. I will do same for the fingers as well. Now I have to move to the pelvis part. So select the pelvis and then this pelvis will enter the parent. As you can see, when I'm moving the torso bone, the pelvis follows the movement very well. And then this upper leg, select the object and then this bone and then parent it. Same goes to this. Now the lower leg, select the key object and then this bone and then parent it. For the feet, I will select this lower bone and then parent it. Same goes to the other feet. Because we already had parented the other objects, now all the parts will follow the ray, as you can see. Now the thing which is left is the head. So let's select the head, then the head bone, and then parent it. Now the head motion is also fine. Let's come for the eyes. Let's solo it. Let's select the eye and then this home. The name is Master Eye A and then parent it. Let's quickly do this eye also. Now as you can see, our eyes are following the controlling bone. So the rigging part is done here. So before starting the animation, there is one thing I want to do. Bring your cursor to here and drag it and add a new collection here. Let's go to what and select all these collection and put them inside this. And now save your file. So this is it for this part. In the next part, I will be sharing you the animation and the compositing. I will also show you the magical trick which I had used to make the seamless transition between the real car and the CG model. So please stay tuned.